Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Lala and you're watching LALA Level Up. So as you can see by today's title, I am going to be doing a video talking about how to prepare for your mushroom trip, because that's very important. And from the looks of it, my mushroom video has been getting a lot of traction, so clearly people are interested on this topic. So I just want to shed a little light on how you should prepare for your mushroom trip. And that video is going to be linked in the description below. But before we get into that, I just want to thank you for being here. Thank you for watching my video. And also make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure that you like the video, comment, and you also share the video with anybody you feel may be interested in the topic of magic mushrooms. I also want to say, in no way am I telling people to go out there and do shrooms. Psychedelics is not something that you should play with. And anything I talk about in this video and in any other video, you should always do your research. You never take somebody's word and you just run with it. It's good to gather information, but you're gonna have to go and do the research on your own. I'm not about to be liable for nothing you do or don't do. And be smart always when you do anything in this life. You should always do your own research in depth. And I just want to say that because I know there's going to be somebody in the comments like, oh, you're trying to tell us all to do shrooms. Baby, I ain't telling you to do nothing. I'm sharing my experiences and I'm shedding more light on a topic that people are interested in. That's what I'm doing. I am not a fucking shroom doctor. I do not have all the answers, but I'm going to be talking about the things that I know about when it comes to how you should prepare when you're about to go into a mushroom trip. So without further ado, well, wait, hold on. I gotta show you my mushroom shirt. Okay. Now that I'm dressed in uniform, I am ready to begin the video. All right, y'all. So you already know I had to go and take notes because I don't play. I already took my little notes. So there are 4 factors that you should take into consideration before you go ahead and do mushrooms. Well, you know what? Before I even go into the 4 factors, let me break it down a little bit again for people who are new, people who have not seen the last video. I do recommend watching that video, my video on how magic mushrooms changed my life from depression to freedom. I do highly recommend watching that video. But since you're already here, let me just explain. So magic mushrooms are psychedelic medicines that have been used for centuries in Native American culture. From my experience and the experiences of many other people, shrooms has the potential to tap into your inner consciousness, help you break down the barriers that are holding you back in life, and help you break out of the matrix and get a lot of healing from things that you are hurting from. And honestly, a lot of people also do shrooms just to have fun. Not everybody does shrooms with an intent or a purpose of, you know, getting answers, getting healing, getting, you know, whatever you want to get from it. Some people just do it for fun. Some people take shrooms just to, like, you know, see different shapes and colors and like a distorted reality type of thing. You know, that's cool too, if that's your thing. Just speak about myself. When I take shrooms, it's more of a medicinal thing. But continuing, shrooms have been around for centuries. They were used in Native American culture, still used in Native American culture. A lot of times in a ceremonial setting with a shaman who is leading the ceremony. And psychedelics are very ancient and they're linked back to beginning of the beginning. So it's kind of like a superpower medicine that taps into your inner consciousness. For a better definition, you can Google. But that's what I got, so that's what we're going with. Also, mushrooms are coming from the earth. This is not a man-made thing. They are not made in a lab. You can literally find magic mushrooms in the forest. You have to make sure that you've got the right ones. I'm not telling you to go pick any. I'm just saying they're found out in nature. They're mushrooms. So this is natural from the earth. This is not a man-made thing. There are a lot of studies on how shrooms help with depression and things like that. But like I said, do your research. No matter the reason of why you want to take shrooms, you should always follow these 4 factors that I'm going to list, because that will, by following these 4 factors will ensure that you will have a good trip. A lot of people talk about good trips and bad trips. So what does that mean? So if somebody says they had a good trip, that means they had a great experience. It felt good, it was warm, loving, fuzzy, or even if they felt some pain, they got answers from it. So it was seen as a good trip to them because it was beneficial to them in a way that they perceive as good, a good trip. A bad trip would be something like you experiencing negative emotion on your trip. Like, I'm gonna just say this. I've never had a bad trip. So maybe somebody who has had a bad trip would explain it a little bit better to you from their own experience. But from what I've gathered, a bad trip is when you are not accepting what the shrooms are presenting to you. So when you are on this psychedelic trip, which some people will call a high, you're not really high on shrooms. It's not a high. It's not like like when you're on marijuana or any illicit drugs. I'm not saying marijuana it's definitely a lot, but it's not like if you're high on cocaine or crack or something. It's not that type of high. It's internal. It's low-key hard to explain. I'm not gonna hold you, but you don't get high and like dumb off of it. You just get deep. You get deep. Like you go inside, like in your inner soul, in the depths of your soul. That's where shrooms take you. And when you go inside the depths of your soul, sometimes there are things that you have been burying that need to come to the surface in order for you to live the life you're supposed to live. Psychedelics will bring those things to the surface. So if you have childhood trauma, if you had things you've been holding back on, if you've been through some shit, which a lot of us have, it will come up and resurface. If you try to fight it, like the trip is like a movie. It's like scenes that happen to you, like in your mind. It's like you're going through different stages while you're on your trip. So you might have a stage where you're like high flying and you're good and everything is dandy and you're like feeling the best emotions. Then boom, you get to another stage where it's like, all right, this shit is taking me deep. This shit is taking me places I didn't know I wanted to go. Like, things that hurt you will come up, but it's not to harm you. It's to help you move past it. So it will be presented to you so you can face it. That is the ultimate best way I can explain it. And I hope you really gathered that. God, please help me to explain this the best way I can explain this. Because a lot of times talking about stuff like this, like, I gotta ask my higher power to help me speak, because my human words sometimes can't even get it across the way I want to get it across. So no matter what you're doing this for, the intention behind it, you always want to make sure that you are following these 4 things so that you can ensure your good trip. First factor would be your mood. Before you do shrooms, you want to make sure that you are in a good mood. I would say that you should start preparing like at least a week in advance. Even 2 weeks is even better. But if you can just give yourself 7 days in advance to like follow these things, I think you'll be great when you go to do it, and you will have the ultimate experience, you know, by following these things. So the first thing would be your mood. Be in a good mood. You cannot do shrooms when you are mad, when you are sad. It's not for one, it's not a drug. It's a medicine. And this medicine is not going to make you feel happy when you're sad. This medicine heightens your current state. Okay, I'm gonna say it like this. You need to go off of how you feel that day. If you are moody, if you're in a bad mood, if you're sad, if you're mad, don't take shrooms, because it's just gonna heighten what you're already feeling. And I'm speaking from experience. So one time I did shrooms, like a microdose, not too much, just like a little dose. And I remember it not really kicking in the way I wanted to. Like, I just ended up feeling like kind of aggy, because I was already aggy before I took it. And I thought me taking it was gonna like be like an upper for me. Like, for example, cocaine. Cocaine is like an upper. So like if you're depressed and you take cocaine, it's like, oh, you're hyper. You're like, yeah. But like shrooms is not like that. This is not a drug, so it's not an upper. And it's not a downer either. It's just going off of you. Wherever you're at, that's where it's gonna take you energetically. So I always say be in a good mood. Always. Like, why would you want to be in a bad mood and do shrooms? Like, that's such a sensitive thing. Like, I really consider shrooms to be sacred. Like, I don't play around with my shrooms. Like, I don't just be giving my shrooms to people. If I'm with someone, they're like, oh, let me get one. Like, I don't just like you really got to handle this stuff with care. Like, this is not no play thing, because it's really tapping into your consciousness. Like, you got to be careful with what you're doing, because this ain't no game. Like, basically, like, this is just not a game. Unless it's just not a game. That's all I'm gonna say. Number 2, your setting. Your setting is so important. Your setting, your environment for where you are when you are taking your trip. So you always want to be somewhere where you are safe. I would never recommend doing shrooms like in a place you've never been before, where it's not safe, or something you're unfamiliar to, like, because you don't want to be mid-trip and then like if you're already gonna be doing shrooms, which is going to take you into a very sensitive state, you want to make sure that you are in a safe space, a space you're familiar with, you're comfortable with. Like, if you want to have your favorite blankie with you, like, do that. Like, you should always make yourself reside in the highest level of comfort when you are engaging in any psychedelic activities, because you're going to be really sensitive, your energy and everything around you, and you want to be safe no matter what. You're going to be in an altered state. This alters your mindset. So you want to make sure that you are in a good place always, emotionally and physically. It's like we have a boundary between our physical self and your spiritual self. When you're on psychedelics, it really deteriorates that boundary, and you're able to get closer to your soul. Not even closer to your soul, that's an understatement. You're able to really become one with your soul. That's the experience you have while on psychedelics. That's the way it makes you feel. Extremely tapped into your emotions, extremely tapped into the emotions of the people around you too. So be mindful. When I'm talking about your environment, I also mean the people you're around. You should not be taking shrooms with somebody you don't really fuck with, or you don't know about their energy. Example, I had a friend who ended up doing shrooms, and he was around his homeboy. He already felt like this homeboy was acting kind of fickle with him. So then when he was on shrooms, he felt like this overwhelming feeling of like discomfort around that homeboy, because in his energy, he was already feeling like, I think you want some shit. Like, I don't know if I could really fuck with you. You might be the ops. And then when he was on shrooms, that shit was fucking magnetized, because you cannot deny the energy. Like, If you're around somebody, on a regular day, you can feel energy. So imagine when you're on shrooms. When you're on shrooms, you feel that shit times 100. Like, so he was around his homeboy and he felt that shit like crazy and called him out on it and everything. And it became like a whole thing because you cannot deny what the shrooms are showing you. Like, it's always going to be the truth. Straight up. So I would always say be mindful too of the people that you are around when you are doing this. Step 3. Step 3 would be to have a clean body and a clean mind. And that's how you create a clean spirit. So in preparation, at least 7 days before your shroom trip, you should be eating good food. You should not be eating loads and loads of meat. You should not be eating like loads and loads of dairy, like things that don't make you feel good or are not good for you, that you know are not good for you, like fast food, like anything that brings down your energy levels, you shouldn't eat. You should be eating things that are light, that are healthy. You want to make yourself the purest, cleanest version of yourself before you go in to do this shroom trip. Eating good, having clear thoughts, like I would be very mindful of what you're consuming. So like these are questions you have to ask yourself. With the mood, it's like, how am I feeling? With your setting, it's like, where am I? And then with your body and with your mind, it's what am I consuming? So these are questions you have to ask yourself. What are you allowing into your aura? Be mindful of these things. Even like taking a spiritual bath, if you're into that type of thing, before you go ahead and do a full-on trip. So the last and final thing on the list would be number 4, and that is your intention. Really ask yourself, what do I want to gain from this experience? There are times where people are just like, oh, I just want to have fun. I just want to like see weird shit. Because on shrooms, like, if you've seen any psychedelic art, you can get a little feel of some things that you might see. It's not always like that. A lot of times it's actually not really like that at all. It kind of depends on a few different other factors. But I mean, you know, some people just want it for the cool effects or something, just like to see things moving. Like, for example, like, you know, like hardwood floors, like it just looks like the regular lines from like the tree, I don't know, in the floor. Like, you know, the little lines in the wood floor from the bark of the tree. Like on shrooms, like I remember I was looking at it one day while I was on shrooms. I'm looking at my floor right now. And like, I was looking at it and it was like moving. It wasn't moving, but like it was moving. Like shit like that. So like, it's like little things like that. Like, it'll be like, oh, that shit is moving. That shit is swirly. But it's like not really swirly. Or it probably really is swirly. Like your third eye is seeing it. But like your human eye doesn't naturally see that, I guess. So things like that. Some people just take it for those type of effects. Or just to feel good. Shrooms make you feel really good. So a lot of times people just take it and like start laughing and like things like that. But when it comes to me and a lot of people I know, shrooms is taken for an intention in order to gain something from it, you know? Like for medicinal things or spiritual practices, like when I take shrooms, it's really to like go deeper within myself and get some understanding and answers to things. And even to remember things. You know, a lot of times you forget things because you're so fucking traumatized. Yeah. So, whatever your purpose is, whatever you want, like, I would very much say to make an intention, to write it down. Like, I don't think shrooms is something you should just be doing willy-nilly. You're just gonna take it. I mean, you can. Everybody is different. I'm talking about me. When I take shrooms, I take it with an intention. If you want to get this supernatural experience, if you want to like change your life and take shrooms to do it, you got to set an intention. Like, you need to decide what it is, and then you need to really sit there and write it out. Like, words have power. Say it, affirm it, of course. Words have power, and you manifest through many ways, but definitely verbally through your words. So I would say write down your intention and speak it, like every day up until the day you go to do your shroom trip, or you plan to have your shroom trip, whatever it is. Also, I would say that you should always be open-minded. You should always be open-minded, and don't be afraid. Like, that's the biggest thing. Don't be afraid. Because in reality, you're just afraid of yourself. Because the shrooms are just going to let you know who you really are. Because apparently we all forgot. That is my 4 factors, the 4 tips that I have for you when it comes to the preparation period before you do start your mushroom trip, your magic mushroom trip. So 1, mood. How am I feeling? 2, setting. Where am I? 3, cleanliness. What am I consuming? What's in my aura? And then 4 would be intention. What am I trying to gain by this? What am I trying to get from this? What do I want? What am I seeking? What do I want the outcome to be after this experience? Ask yourself them questions, and I'll tell you, once you go and do that mushroom trip, breakthrough. Breakthrough. But you gotta do the work. You gotta put in the effort. And by doing these 4 tips, that's exactly what you're doing. So again, I am not telling anybody to do shrooms. Whatever you're gonna do it on your own. But I'm just gonna say, if you are gonna do it, follow these tips and do a shit ton of research. Please watch other people's experiences on YouTube. But then again, also know that everybody's experience is different. So somebody might say something and it might even freak you out. And it's like, it might scare you to do it, but it's just like, you just have to remember that even if you listen to other people's experiences, theirs are not gonna be yours. Everybody is living their own individual life. We all have our own individual journeys, goals, dreams, things of that nature. So your outcome is going to be different. You know, whatever that is. Excuse me. There are some things that are similar, like we're like seeing things that are like distorted, like the thing, like what I talked about with like the wood floor. Many people who have done shrooms will say like, yeah, you see little things like that change in your environment. But when it comes to like the things that you see, or the things that you feel, or the things that you realize, like on shrooms, like you get epiphanies by the moment, by the second. Like, you think I'm lying? I'm not lying. Like on my shroom trip, and it's because I did these things. Like, this is how I prepared. I've done shrooms multiple times, and when I'm doing it to like a big trip, not a microdose where I'm just taking like 1 or 2 here, but when I'm doing like a big trip, I'm doing it for a reason. I'm doing it for, I have an intention. I have a purpose. I'm not just doing it just to be faded off of the shrooms, which is not even accurate. You're not faded, you're not high, but whatever. Your state is altered. You are in an altered state, absolutely, but you're not high. These are the things I've done. But like I've said before, and I say again, I'm not a doctor, and I want y'all to live your life. But if you're gonna do it, follow these tips and do your research. Period. Thank you guys so much for being here yet again. I must remind you to subscribe to my channel, because I know some of y'all just click out and leave. But if you've enjoyed this video, you know, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you like it, because how am I gonna know you like a video if you don't like it? I gotta know that you like it by liking it. So like the video if you like it. Comment, let me know your thoughts. Have you done shrooms before? Are you interested in doing shrooms? Are you against shrooms? Are you curious about shrooms? Let me know. Have you ever done any other psychedelics? Have you had spiritual experiences without shrooms? I have. I want to know if you guys have. Let me know in the comments below. Again, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate this support. And don't forget to watch my linked video in the description box about how magic mushrooms changed my life. All right, y'all. Till next time. LALA, level up.